Welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm Gavin Baxley, and today we have the new head ball coach, Coach Gerad Parker. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. It's good to be here.
So there's a lot of change that's happened over the offseason for this team. Obviously, you're here. What has that transition been like for you coming into this Troy team?
Well, it's new. Everything's new, and we've talked a lot about that. But I think the answers change the more time we get here. You know, from January till now, the amount of transition we've had would be too long to talk about. I'll say this: I think it all happens in cycles, and when you're trying to acquire as much talent as you can and build a roster around what was here with us, but also we had to build. That's the first thing you always trigger is personnel. But I think what's forgotten is that's staff, on-field and off-field staff too. We've had a lot of changeover and a lot of new, and that's allowed us to do a lot of different things and fun things, but we're learning as we go. You know, we've had to build culture. We've had to build a new way of what our core values are. The things are countless, but I think for us, the transition has been good because we're around good people. The support staffs and the people around us and our administration at Troy, and then the fan base and community have wrapped their arms around us. And I think that allows everybody to feel great about being here. A lot of guys on our staff have already said this is the best job they've ever had. And that's something to say about the guys that have been a lot of different places, and I feel the same.
And you talk about assembling that personnel. What has that process been like? I know you've got a lot of guys who you've kind of had connections with previously at West Virginia and other places.
Well, yeah, I think you always have an idea if you have a decent plan of hopefully building a dream of becoming a head coach, and you have a depth chart and there's things ready. But there's unforeseen things, you know, when you think about having to hire a whole new recruiting staff, a whole new strength staff, our administration, graduate assistants, you name it. So I think that part's fun because you're able to build a foundation of people you've already worked with, you have strong relationships with, that you already trust. But there's something to be said about also having some people that you didn't know, whether that be a Travis Pearson, a Gary Banks, a Jamal Smith, people like that were already here. Ian, who does all our ops stuff. So it's been good for us to build people in this that were from Troy or been at Troy, but also those that haven't been. And I think it gives us all a way to bring this thing together to build what we hope is one of the top staffs in the country.
You've come from a line of some great coaches working under David Cutcliffe and Coach Freeman at Notre Dame. How have they kind of influenced you as you take on this first time as a head coach?
Well, I think, again, aspirations of becoming a head coach is something that we've always had. And I think when you pay attention to great ones like you've mentioned and others, you just start to pay attention to what makes them really good. You know, and I've been on record of saying David Cutcliffe was great about vocabulary for an entire organization and how he prepared his practices for a quarterback and how you have to make sure that quarterback gets what he needs to prepare for games. James Franklin did an unbelievable job of marketing and pushing a program and how you have to market it to be ready for all that is college football. Doc Holliday and being from the Urban Meyer tree was a whole other set of things and strengths of how to push a staff and be sound in recruiting. It goes on, and I think you take notes from each of them. You learn what made them great. You take what, and I got to see a good friend of mine in Marcus Freeman take over a program of the magnitude of Notre Dame, and I think it allows you just to see things through multiple lenses that allows you to hopefully have some success when one becomes yours.
And now looking at this roster that you've built, you've got some guys who were here previously. Have they kind of stepped up as leaders within this roster?
They have, and also some of our transfers or new guys have. I think anytime you have this much new, you better have multiple ways of creating leadership. But the guys that have been here and been a part of a winning culture and a championship program in Troy that have already seen those things, it sure helps. They kind of get the first tabs on that. And guys have done that. And then we built around them and brought in hopefully the right young men to build around a championship program as well. So we've gotten it from both sides, but it certainly helps to come from people that have already been here to win a lot of games and be a part of this culture.
It's going to be a great season. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us here at Trojan Talk.